Okay, so welcome to the Ruac Spoon Challenge template number 18. And as you all know, Russell presented this us with this template, and he also put together some demonstration videos, and I can assure you that I would not have attempted this without the demonstration videos. So thank you very much, Russell, because it really was a gate opener for me. Beforehand, I would have looked at spirals and said, yeah, nice, but no thanks. And it's enabled me to at least try. So it was a great idea and really well executed videos. Thanks a lot.
You're very welcome.
And at this point, just so that I don't forget, I'll mention the upcoming template and various things about it, just because if I leave it to the end, I'm bound to forget. So the next one's going to be by Sebastian Ung, is that right? Something like that. And that's going to be in 3 weeks. The show and tell will be 3 weeks from now, which is the 17th of April, I think. And he's going to do us a demo on chip carving, because Sebastian does these fantastic, very chip carved, colourful spoons and knife handles and all sorts of other things. And he's going to do a demo next Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern, which is some other time in other places, which is
I think
it's an hour from now, 7 days. 7 days and an hour from now.
It'll be 1 p.m. UK by then.
I know, but then we've got the hour changing, and I just can't quite get my head through that. So don't worry about it. It might have come to me by the end of the session what time it actually is. So that's what's coming up next. So now.
And Rachel, just to add to that, the template's already posted online. It's up and available. There are a few optional pieces on the template, like there's a little set of wings on the side. He has those on a lot of his spoons. There's also a finial that's optional. And Sebastian did want me to say that they can be carved at any size. It could be carved as an eating spoon size or a serving spoon size with the same general proportions. So just to add a little bit more about that.
Well, that's great, thank you. You don't know what time he's doing his demo, do you?
Yeah, I wouldn't rely on me for that information at all. So
okay.
What day?
On that for the future. Pardon?
What day?
It's next Saturday. That I do know, and it's within an hour of now. So it's an hour. Yes, okay, it's an hour later than whatever time now is for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, so then what we do is begin. Should I start with mine? Is that the way Chuck does it normally, or do I pass it over to somebody else?
Any way you like, Rachel.
Typically, he starts with the person who provided the template, says a little bit about, yeah.
Okay, right. Russell, would you like to do something? Just a second, before you start, I need to remind everyone to go on mute. Obviously, if you've got questions, unmute yourself and do what you need to do. And then try to encourage your question to get Russell to give you an answer so that the spotlight goes back to him. I'm going to now spotlight Russell. Okay, go for it.
Okay, so the idea of this template really was just to encourage people to try a spiral. I'd suggested a double helix because, believe it or not, I find that a little bit easier than a single helix. So ignore the fact that this one's pierced, okay? A double helix is literally like a strand of DNA. I've posted loads of these over the last sort of 4 or 5 months, and I often got people saying to me, that looks really hard. I wish I could try it. But I've not been carving that long. So I thought, well, how do I do it? I put some videos together on how I do it, and I put those up on Instagram. And I was chatting with Chuck about the Rise Up and Carve, spoon challenge, and I thought, well, let's give it a go. And the good news is I've had a lot of comments from people who've given this a shot that actually they found it a lot easier than they thought it would be. The hardest bit, well, it's not even a hard bit, the most important bit really just marking it out. once you've marked it out, the rest of it is just removing material just methodically and just kind of keeping an eye on the shape as you go. So I'm delighted that some people have given it a shot, right? And if you haven't tried it yet and you're just watching, you think, well, this is too hard, just try it. I've got a couple of videos on my Instagram feed. If you're not on Instagram, just, you know, drop me a line some manner and I'll get the video to you. But I'm really pleased that everyone's had a go, and I've seen some of them so far have been really, really good. I'm looking forward to seeing some more today.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, yeah, we can't say enough how helpful it was to just have a video to follow. I would say that for me, yeah, marking out seemed to be very important, but the first challenge was actually axing the handle thick enough to get a circular cross section, because you know my habit would be to go thin and deep, but you know the first spoon I did had quite a keel shaped bit going into between the handle and the spoon, and I realized that I just needed to chunk it up a bit in that area.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, you probably need it to be about bigger than you normally would do, just so you can get that circular cross section.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to do it with the circular cross section. I've seen some people do it with a rectangular cross section. It's very brave because it's pretty hard, but you can do it with a square cross section. I just do circular because I find it sort of more comfortable to hold and it's a bit easier to mark out. But yeah, I mean, you can do any cross section you want. I mean, once you've worked out the method, just go mad. You can try all kinds of different, you know, you can have it with a core, you can have it without a core, you can have it just one sort of spiral, so it's like a corkscrew. You know, I just like the double helix because it's just really quite comfortable and it's fairly strong as well. Because if you have it starting at the top and the bottom, you've got that cross section just behind the bowl, which you would normally expect. Therefore, it is pretty strong. But yeah, the marking out is the start of it. You just need to make sure you've got a decent cross section to begin with. Otherwise, you'll end up with a teeny tiny little spiral, which can happen, you know.
Yeah, it can definitely happen. Okay, well, thank you very much, Russell. Do you also want to go through your spoon? Is that how it works, or not?
I can do if people. So I mean, so this really was just an extension. So this was actually the one that I started demonstrating on the videos. I just continued it. So this is made from cherry. And the double helix, really, all I did, really, I just sort of carried on into the center until I pierced through. And then I carve up the inside as well as the outside. So this was my double helix. It's dried now, so I'm just doing some finishing cuts on it.
It's hard to see, but what's the cross section of each of the bits? You know?
Yeah, so it's sort of like a half moon across section. So it's fairly flat on the inside and it's kind of curved on the outside.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And it's actually quite springy as well, which is quite cool. So it's a bit like a spring, you know. And you can do that. I've done a few of these before, and actually they're quite resilient.
So it feels like it's got flex in it.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, I mean, you can feel it. It's really quite comfortable. It's quite springy. And the reason why, I mean, I think a lot of people have done this as well. I don't take the spiral right to the end, is it kind of gives you two kind of strong points if you're going to pierce through. I wouldn't have that too thin, because you'll get probably a crack there and then the whole thing will fall apart. I mean, you can do it as well where you don't go all the way through with all of it, and you can have some little bits sort of between. But actually, you might think that's stronger, but it's not that much stronger. And to be frank, it's really hard to carve around those. If you're going all the way through just with, I mean, I use a finishing knife for that. You can get in quite easily into there, right? Going all the way through with a nice chunky bit on the end, it makes it actually quite strong, you know. So this is my one.
Yeah, that's really cool. And you've almost tempted me to try another with a great big hole in it down the middle now, if it's springy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure Sean's here from Wales, but he actually drilled through, and he's got his spiral with a hollow as well. But I mean, literally, I just pierced through by just carving down from both sides with a hook. And that was the biggest takeaway for me. You know, if you're use a hook for carving these pieces, and it makes it so much easier because of the cross section of the knife itself. And then you just literally carve from both sides, and you can do that. You would struggle probably if you wanted to do more than, say, a double helix. If you wanted to do 3, for example, it's going to be harder to get in there. But if you've got small tools, you can do that. And I know that some people probably use, you know, little chisels or something, but I just use just regular carving knives.
Yeah,
So,
that's really neat. Well, thank you very much, Russell. Now I'm going to remove the spotlight. Now, okay. So the format is now that somebody waves at me if they would like to go next. Is that correct? Yes, it is. So now I'm waiting for someone to wave.
Rachel, I can go first. I'm happy to go
Thank
first.
you, Kevin.
Sure.
Just a second. I have to do my thing. You get a talk through of how this works. Go for it, Kevin.
I'd carved some spirals on some other oddball objects like magic wands, so they make good spirals. And I've carved on some spoon handles just a small spiral by the neck or a small spiral by the tip. So I had an idea of how I would do it, but I enjoyed watching Russell's method for how to map them out and mark them out. I took a spoon that I already had half carved in my tub of spoons that had the handle was a square. So I left it as a square and did a spiral in the square, and it made a pretty neat effect where I had these sharp edges. And one thing that I didn't predict, but that I thought was quite cool, is the tighter I made this edge, this internal edge here, the more it looked like there was a handle trapped inside the square. So that's kind of a cool look. So then I tried to make sure like this bit looked like it was connected to this bit and this bit. So it looked like there's a handle trapped inside of a square spiral. So that was pretty neat.
Just a fluke.
Well, it wasn't something I intended, but I think it would be inevitable if you do it, that's how it ended up looking.
Yeah. So it was a function of you just trying to get clean in on the angle bits. Yeah. Okay.
Right, because at first it sloped in from this side and sloped in from this side, and it wasn't as obvious. And then as I took it tighter and tighter into the corner, then it had that appearance of looking like there was a circular handle trapped inside of a square handle, which is kind of neat. It's not terribly uncomfortable as long as you don't hit an edge. So I think it would still be usable. And I also, when I see Russell's springy double helix hollow all the way through, I want to do one of those now too. So I find the spirals really rewarding to carve because it is just like layout and then perseverance, and you end up with a spiral. Although getting it clean, like this is still, it looks really good on Zoom, but in real life, there's all these walls in here are really rough and still, they still have a lot of chatter marks on them. And so to get it clean, I think is a real skill. And I feel like I could spend hours trying to get it clean. So to get the initial spiral could just be hard work, but then I think to make it look clean up close is probably a talent.
And what wood was that?
I'm not sure. It's really soft. I think it was some sort of soft maple that I started a long time ago. So that wood probably isn't ideal either. It carved almost like poplar, like tulip poplar sapwood, real soft. And really wide. You can see the grain in the bowl, or you can't. The grain, the grain is real consistent but real wide. So something really fast grown and soft. So thanks very much, Russell. Yeah, I think it's cool to experiment with decorating handles like that.
Yeah, that was a neat spoon. Thank you very much, Kevin. So
You're very welcome.
Anybody else? Just a second. Don't wave yet. Please don't. You can wave now. Okay. I saw you first, Sunny. Thank you. Just a second. Can I spotlight you first? There you go. Thank you.
So yeah, I made a single spiral spoon, double helix, but single spoon, because for me it was much more challenging than I had initially anticipated. that with a lack of a lot of time, it took quite a bit of work to get a handle that I was happy with. And the way I did the layout was actually cutting a long, thin strip of paper and taping it up at the bowl area, and then just wrapping the paper around the handle. And
Well,
marking
that's a
out
cool
the-
idea.
So, you know, I got it so it actually starts pretty well on each side of the bowl and then ramps into the helix. But it took some trial and error with the layout, because I actually used that piece of paper and then actually shaved it all off and then laid it out again to get the spacing right. But I'm happy with it. I'm happy it didn't crack, because this thick end on the handle, I was afraid that this was going to dry slower than the rest of it. But I did dry it in a bag with some wood chips, just so that it had a chance to slowly kind of lose the moisture.
And was it intentional that you've got a tighter spiral towards the handle, or is that because of the taper of the handle burying?
But it was intentional, and it was because of the taper of the handle. The way I interpreted the template was that it got a little bit narrower at the neck. So when I cut my strip of paper for laying out, this end was maybe 3/16, and this end was maybe a half an inch. So as I wrapped it around, it got a little further and further apart. And you know, I decided to leave this thickness was the thickness of the paper, and I just dug out a channel in between where the two lines from the paper were. And like Kevin said, it's not perfectly clean. It looks okay on the video, but I feel like I could even go back and do another chamfer on all the entire surface to get it a little bit better and smoother feeling in the hand.
And how did you get down into that groove? Did you use gouges rather than knives?
I used the straight knife on all of it. I didn't use any hook knives, and I have to admit, I didn't watch any of Russell's videos. So I just kind of went for it with a Sloyd knife.
Wow. Yeah, that looks tricky.
Well, and walnut is it kind of splits on the grain very easily. So if you cut in from both sides, that chip wants to fall out anyway. So a lot of it was just chasing the edge of these spirals and then popping out the chip in between.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The walnut's beautiful though, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I like walnut. So to me, this piece is a little dirty looking, because this has been sitting around for a while. The longer it sits, the more the tannins bleed together. But yeah, thank you. The walnut is kind of fun to carve, and it also has a pretty look to it.
Yeah, that's really cool. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Sonny.
Thank you. Thanks, Russell.
Okay. So the next person I'm seeing waving is Jürgen there. So thank you. Where you go.
You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I definitely looked through Russell's tutorials, because again, I probably wouldn't have ever tried. I would be one of those that just saw it and said, how the heck do you ever do it? And I'd probably be too afraid to try to venture on my own to try it. So, but yeah, once I saw the videos and how he laid it out, it was really helpful. Yeah, so I had a piece of apple, so I ended up, creating a bigger piece. I wanted to go with a serving spoon and go something a little bit bigger, just to make it hopefully a little easier to do something on the first time. So yeah, it just took a little bit of time, because it's a good size, was just laying it out and getting it into that initial shape, so that I could do the layout, which was a lot of material. There's a lot of material moving and that you have to go with it. So yeah, just followed through on that one all the way through, and I just kept going until it broke through. I kind of all of a sudden started enjoying the carving through, and I just kept going and going, and just wondering what would happen if I kept going on both sides and it broke through. So
it's a bit like putting a hole in the bottom of a bowl, but it wasn't so disastrous.
Yeah, you keep going in a bowl, and then you're like, whoops, I should have stopped. This one, I just was going to keep going until I broke through and saw what was happening. So I figured.
And has that got quite, can you feel the spring on that handle?
This one's actually not. It's actually very strong. I mean, there's a small if you squeeze it, but it's not naturally there on holding, but it is rather comfortable.
Yeah.
It's going to be a nice serving spoon for some bigger bowls.
And it looks like the cross section of each of the strands is more circular on that. Is that right?
Yeah, so I made these, they're, yeah, circular all the way through. You know, so
Yeah.
it's just trying to get that circular shape all the way through. So I did that one. And then I decided I enjoyed it, so I went with and made another one.
So what was that?
You know, they're both apple, and I don't know why because I was afraid that they're gonna dry out because I can't get it all done in one go. So I put them in the bag, and it just gets that, I really get that oxidation on it. So the other one I scraped off all the oxidation on. This one I just said forget it and just let the oxidation go. And yeah, I don't know why it gets rather orangey and brown. I don't know if apple eventually over time just all turns brown. I'm not
I think all woods eventually over time will just go a bit darker.
go dark. So yeah, I mean this one had the some natural of the hardwood in it. So I spent the time cleaning it up because it had the hardwood coming through.
Yeah, it's a cool effect where you can see that on the different strands sort of crossing over.
Yeah, so I liked it here, so I spent the time of always trying to keep the whitewood clean. This one didn't have any of it, just it only had one little spot here. So I decided just to let it go, and I helped it along with a little baking soda.
And on the end of that handle, how have you, so you finished it in a similar sort of way? Oh, right. So you've got the two circles coming in together at the end.
Yeah.
Away. Yeah. Because the first spoon you showed looked really interesting, the end.
Yeah, this one I did a little bit. This one was kind of came in more like a round.
Yeah. Yeah, but one of them almost goes round the other at the end, it seemed. I couldn't quite.
Yeah. I did circle around.
Cool.
And this one, because there was a knot in it, I kind of had to pull out. There was a little bit of rot up in here. I wasn't sure what was going to happen when I got there. It was a lot of rot going on, so I ended up finishing it so that the two strands came in as if there were two strands that just met and glued together, and tried to get it to sort of wrap a little bit coming in and out of the bowl. But yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Great.
Thanks, Russell. Thanks.
Two really lovely spoons. Thank you. Okay, and now John was waving at me in Scotland. Okay, you are spotlighted.
Well, same thing. I had followed Russell's template and I went and watched his video because I made one ages ago like that, but that's just the exact opposite, which is why it's all uneven. I just drew 3 lines on it and carved the lines. So first one I made with Russell's template was a sycamore one, and it's and say when you watch that, it's completely different. It completely changes the way how you do them. And then I did a birch one.
So these second two were after seeing Russell's video?
Yes, the first one was just one I made. There's one up there, but it's attached to the wall, so I can't actually get it down. They were doing 3 spirals at a barber's pole and cut the spiral out rather than actually, this one, the way Russell did it, you left his markings in and cut around them. So, and then I did this one, which is a piece, it's still completely wet yet, and it's, you break it, it's,
I can't look, sorry.
no, but it's going to be a spork scoop once it's actually finished, but it's a piece of a horse chestnut, and it was a branch wood. There was like the main branch come up here, So it's completely the wrong weight because there's, I actually started hauling it out to try and get rid of the pith to stop it cracking. So there's pith up the top, and there's obviously 2 lots of pith coming up through the bowl. So it goes against every rule you can think of, but so far it's drying it slowly in a bag, taking it out for a little while and then doing it. But yeah, that was easy. Just keep on going. And because you can see the pith in the middle, there's a little bit up there, you can just still see it. So
Yeah.
you kept until that disappeared. And then because it was so soft, it was quite easy to come out, but it's sort of triangular, pyramid shaped almost, no, triangular with the top cut off it.
Mhm.
So eventually, but it'll be a while yet before it's dry enough to finish. I'll stick it back in a bag so it doesn't crack.
But
no,
it's cool with leaving the bark on. That's a
Yeah.
neat effect.
No, I quite like them. I think they'll be, and it's, you can twist it quite a bit too to spiral it, and it's but yeah. So, but I won't know too much, it'll probably break.
Yeah, don't do it live,
No.
please.
So no, I quite like, but yeah, I wouldn't have, without Russell's instructions, I wouldn't have had a clue. They just carried on doing little grooves and round. And that was just done with I did start off a hook knife and finish off with just a normal motor. And just probably about, I don't know, 3 or 4 nights, but because it's so soft, it cut really easily. It only cut like last week.
Mhm.
So that was in. But no, I think I'll try them again. I quite like them.
Yeah, well, I think trying one with leaving the bark on and taking the pith out is just something that really appeals to me. It's a sort of sitting around for hours while camping type task where you can just
Well, that
spend
was
your time.
just sitting around the back outside in the one of the bits and pieces of sunny days we did have. So after tea at night, so and just chipping away.
Yeah, really different. So thanks for sharing that. And yeah,
Yeah.
the bark's fabulous.
Hopefully it'll stay on.
Oh, yeah. So of course it's winter, so that played to that, didn't it? That's the right way around, isn't it? That something
Yeah.
cut at this time of year is more likely to keep the bark on.
I don't know, because it was actually the bits I'd left lying. They've started to bud and they're starting to leave. Like leaves coming on them. So it was only a cut. I mean, it's starting to. It was one was planted too near the house, so we'll just get some branches trimmed off it to just bring the height down. So it was absolutely soaking wet. So we'll see whether it'll stay on or not. So far,
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm looking for waves again now. Morgan, I see a wave.
I'll go. Similarly to Jurgen, I was intimidated, and then I watched Russell's video, and now I have confidence that I can do things. I just have to know how to do them. So thank you for that video, because it was really great. The first one I did, I was sure I was going to fail because it was the first time I was doing any carving like that, and so I stuck it on the end of this paddle that I had made, and then turns out I made a spiral, and and then I was stuck with this paddle. It's a pretty like long and very rounded over spiral, which I actually like the feel of. Like you almost get a grip on it, and the rounded edges make it nice. But then I turned the paddle into like a little whisk thing. And then I just got the idea I should try ebonizing something. And I ebonized it, and it sort of leaked into the handle a little bit. So now I'm just calling this, like my demon stick, my witch stir. I don't know, it's kind of dark, but I like the character. And I went for something a bit smaller, so I just took an eating spoon. Wow, that bright light behind me is really hard. I took an eating spoon that was sort of like rectangular, and I carved just a small, these were all double helixes. I carved a spiral in this, and I actually kind of like the delicate ones as well. And then I decided to go for something really big, and the intention was to carve all the way through and hollow it out. But this is a pretty soft maple, and you know what? Now that everyone's saying it, I was starting to get a little bit of flexibility. I was like, I don't want it to break, because I had promised someone I'd give it to him. And so I chickened out and I didn't.
And what paint have you done? Milk paint on that, or is that ebonizing again?
No, they're all milk paint, just different sort of earthy tones. Yeah, so it's just a, oh, it's really hard to see with that bright light behind me. There's no non-bright light. It's just like a mustard.
Mhm.
The wood ox, I kept it in a bag because again, I didn't want the ends to, well, this end on my first one did crack and I had to glue it back, but this one's all right. But it did oxidize a bunch. So I think it's just a little bit darker patina than it would be otherwise.
Mhm. And that one that was the rectangular cross section, what I'm interested in is that from here on the Zoom screen, when you twiddle it, I can't tell that it's rectangular. It's only when you see the end view. Yeah.
It feels more rectangular. I mean, yeah, I don't know how well you can tell, but you know, that's the side view. And then the
Yeah.
front view.
Yeah, it's not as obvious as I thought it would be, but it's a cool effect. It
Yeah.
reminds me of a sweet or a candy, a barley twist or something.
Mhm. Yeah, it's like a Twizzler or something.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, this was like use what I have and put a spiral on it. And then this one I made specifically for the spiral and was a lot thicker because now I need to make another one where I go all the way through and
There's going to be so many spirals in the world.
yeah, super confidence, I guess.
My work here is done.
Take over. That's great. Thanks a lot, Morgan. Okay, anybody else waving? Oh, Joan, I saw your wave. One moment, I shall make you big.
Great, thank you. So again, thanks to Russell, because never in a million years would I have tried this without the videos, and the videos made it really doable. So I had a neighbor have an elm tree they just took down in their yard. So this is a piece of elm, which I'd never carved before. And I felt it was a little stringy and soft, but it actually, I love the way it came out. I think you can see that the color just came out great. This was 3/4 size from the from the actual pattern. And my family was very disappointed when I finished because they were like, where's the finial? We want, another Oran finial. So I don't know if the light's not great. There you go.
Oh,
so I put a little owl. I put a little owl on the top. And everybody agrees that that's just made it far more adorable. So, so again, thank you. I did this all with a straight knife. I just couldn't do it with the hook. I tried, but the straight actually worked really well with this particular wood, which was said a little soft and stringy. Probably not the best wood for this, but I'm really happy with how it came out.
Yeah.
And I do love the little owl. So thanks again, Oren, for the pattern.
Yeah, so Oren came into it, your family came in with the design tips, and it's a Russell spoon too. No,
Thanks
that's
so
great.
much. It was really fun to try something so different.
Yeah, well, thanks for trying. And I like the addition of the owl on the end, especially the circular nature of it. It's almost hidden, but it's just like owls are in the tree. Yeah.
I thought it was like sitting on the top of the branch.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Okay. So who else will wait? Oh, I see you waving down there, Sean. Okay, brace yourself, everybody.
Mute myself. There we go. I was just trying to figure out what was going on. The big thing come up on the screen saying unmute yourself. Right, so in typical fashion, I went nuts again with the thing, but it's still not like half finished. So this is what I ended up with. I cut the blank out square tapered, and then I drilled the hollow through the middle, and then I tapered. But because it was fresh, wet cherry, I don't know if you can see that in the video, it was perfectly tapered round. It's gone skewiffed.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Yeah, it's all this section's moved that way. And I reckon it's to do with the thickness of the spiral as it comes up, with the smaller sections drying faster And it's actually gone a sort of overly square sort of. You can
But
see
I
shifted.
love the way that they've moved out of line a bit. That makes it look even more organic in a way.
Yeah, I quite like the way it's turned out, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've just been doing all the knot work on the handle, so it's a long way to go yet, and I've got to do a dragon's head there and the tail up here. So
It's crazy. So
Yeah.
you must be much better at drilling in straight lines than I am.
well, when the wood's straight, I just clamped it to something and eyed it, left, right, up, down, sort of thing. Yeah, it's still pretty straight, I suppose. But yeah, that's out of cherry, so it does warp quite a bit anyway, cherry. So, but it's a coal spiral spoon. Or
So-
at least it will be.
Have you
No.
tried using it?
Not yet, no.
I
When
mean, but just like the, the shape.
I don't know if you can see all of this here. That's super glue because it started splitting there.
Oh man.
But I managed to catch it in time and it stopped. So I can just shave all that off and sand it back maybe. It'll be
Yeah.
fine. But it hasn't gone through. It just started on the outside with little pin cracks.
And at what point did that appear?
While I was just starting to carve this, I'd done all the handle and mostly done the bowl, and then I turned it and I went, and just
yeah.
went like that into a bucket of water for a couple of days, and then I took it out and started doing it again, and it started doing it again, so I just went and super quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the CA glue, if you put it on and stops a crack and it's just in the crack, then that's fine if it's not near the space that you're going to use to sort of eat from. So, but it's inert anyway, and you sand most of it off. So, yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
well, if I could say awesome with conviction, I would absolutely say it at this point.
Well, yeah.
Give it a try. Let's see how it sounds.
No, I can't. I just can't do it.
You've been practicing all night. Come on.
It's awesome, man.
Anyone else hearing Chuck's awesomes in their head?
That's right. Just take a pause, channel Chuck, and hear it in your head. Okay.
I'll go and ring him. Hang on.
Yeah. Well, can you come back and show us it when it's finished?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, it'll be on the Instagram as well. So if you pop on there, you'll be able to see it all done. I'm up to there so far. So I was just drawing all the rest of it in this morning, which was painstaking because I kept messing it up and going the wrong way, and you can see where.
Do you not find that it smudges off as you're holding it, or is it?
Yeah, it's when I drew it all originally and I threw it back in the water. It's a water soluble pencil, so it all disappeared. I had to redraw it again. Yeah, it's dry now, so it can just stay on the side until it's finished. But yeah.
So just think of all the good practice you've had there.
Yeah.
Don, how are you holding that in order to carve the surface carving you're doing now?
Just sort of like that, and then I've got this skew chisel, which I've wrapped tape around so that you can hold it like this, and then it's just like stab work. And then if I'm doing like along the edges, say there, in between the knot work, I use this KN11 flex cut, and I draw it along again, holding it this sort of fashion. And then you can stab in as well to make the chips, it's delicate. It does flex if you if you start to try and twist or move it, it does flex. So it'll be delicate. It's still.
The anxiety is rising for me.
Do that. Yeah.
Thank you, Sean.
Thanks.
Okay, any more waves? Brad, I can see you waving. Okay.
Wait a minute. I did unmute myself.
Yeah, I can hear you.
There we are. Okay, cool. So I started late, and I had been nursing a shoulder injury that kept me from carving for a few weeks. So I didn't start this till about Wednesday, and I saw Sean's, so I knew I was going to start with a hollow, and I drilled a hole, and foolishly I took the whole thing and I drilled a hole all the way through the blank, and I didn't remember to stop before I got to the spoon. So I've just made the ugliest spoon I've ever made, but I'm pretty happy with the spiral. So what I did was to create a hollow spiral. Not as tight a curve as Sean's. And so what I did was, let's see, it's all backwards. So one spiral goes clockwise and the other little one goes counterclockwise. That goes, and then I decided to make the little one go over the top like it was a cord binding it together. And then last night about this morning about 1:30 in the morning, I decided to carve away the bit here and then extend these little dudes around the bowl and back up. So it's unlike Sean, I use the Red Cross method of blood donation. So I've got 4 or 5 Band-Aids on this finger. I also used one of these little flex cut knives. And the problem is I've never done any of this surface carving. And when you're working like this, it's amazing how well you can stab yourself when the thing breaks through and goes right through the other side. So I'm going to have to take another month before I try another one of these to let my red blood cells return. And so yeah, I pretty much just carve away everything that doesn't look like a blood stain. And this is
what's left. My brain would just scramble. I had a hard enough job following a straight double helix down a spoon without something coming back over the top in the other direction.
So it started off pretty simple. I took a piece of tape and wrapped it around, and then I thought, well, I should have wound it tighter. I think both Sonny and Sean had a much tighter curl, and Morgan had a tighter curl. But I thought, well, okay, cool, that's great. And then I'll just make one go the other way. And then initially they were all the same surface. And then I started fiddling with making the big one look a little bit more puffy and have raised chords. So anyway, I fooled around and cut myself just like 15 times.
Just so you're aware, I did actually skew myself with mine on the end of my finger there. I don't know if you can see.
Ah, good. So
I went like that with the chisel, just like you did.
The local fast squad, that's what we call a local ambulance squad. The local fast squad is called and said, don't call us unless it's life-threatening because we're not going to come anymore.
So that's a crazy spoon.
So the next time I would maybe only drill and leave myself 4 inches to make a bowl and so I could have a proper spoon on the end of a stick. But for me, the whole thing was, let's make a spiral. And then I remembered, oh, heck, it's supposed to look a little bit like a spoon. So it's an ugly spoon.
So, yeah, your take home is to remember the spoon.
But it was fun, and I would never have tried that. So Russell, you've pushed me way beyond my comfort level. I wasn't comfortable at all.
Quite literally. But just so you know, blood giving isn't an essential part of spiral carving, right?
Yeah, I look like a hockey player now.
That wasn't stipulated in the terms. What are you talking about?
That's amazing too. Thank you,
This
Brian.
It's a 500 ml spoon because I've given 500 mils of blood.
I'm not going to convert that to pints. 500 mil. Oh, it's 1 pint. Okay. Okay, who would like to go next? Oh gosh, you've got a proper hand, Annika. No, it's not a proper hand. It was my cursor. Sorry. Who's waving? Not you, Sandy. Thank you, Oren.
Hey everyone, can you see me okay? It's
I
backlight.
can.
Just one moment. Move around a little bit. So I started with my spiral. I did a single spiral. No, this isn't really dark. Well, you'll have to see it on Instagram to see it really well. None of this is working. Can't touch the clicker.
Put it in front of your t-shirt.
Anything? Anyway, It's got,
Oh, that's
there,
good. That's good.
better. So I was going for, since it's the beginning of spring and today is our spring holiday, to do something organic with the shape, and I tried to make it kind of like a twig that spirals around, and I kind of made it do a little bit of an organic flow, so breaking lines and not so clean, and then I added a few little details of leaves, and obviously it's not one of mine if it doesn't have a snail climbing on it.
I think it's a bit disingenuous to say that you added them, because we know that you can't add them.
Well, yeah, I had to plan it ahead of time. It was a little difficult to do spiral around when I had to leave little blocks for something to, to carve out of it. I made it even a little harder on myself. Originally, I made another set of twigs coming out of a few of these and growing out. And then I didn't like the way it looked, so I cut them off. But it made the work a lot more tedious. There was a lot of carving around things to try to make it look and flow smoothly. I'm pretty happy with it. I like it. I added a little bit of tannins, more on the top and less on the bottom to give it a kind of gradient look. You can't see anything with the camera and with the backlight, so you just have to imagine that it looks pretty cool because it's really dark on top and then it gets lighter and lighter, and it looks like a spoon, and that's it. I'm happy with it. Thank you. When I was a kid, and I used to carve a lot of walking sticks with spirals, and it felt really natural suddenly coming back to that twisting with the knife like that, and it was a lot of fun. So maybe I'll do a couple more different little ones. I thought maybe to make twig teaspoons with a little leaf and a snail, it would be cute. The same thing, just this big.
Yeah, I like the transition into the bowl where it's almost got a little corner coming in there. It looks really twiggy as it comes out of the bowl, and you've got a little elbow, or not there, but where on the
back, it's got kind of this kind of like a roots growing into it, but it does have enough things that aren't smooth and centered enough to give it a feel of something organic,
of nature.
At least that's what I was going for.
Yeah. And it's good for digging in the soil too. Thank you so much, Aaron. That's amazing.
Thank you, Russell, and thank you, Rachel, for hosting this. You're doing a great job.
Is it awesome?
Awesome job.
Awesome. Awesome.
Okay. So who would like to go next? No. Oh, thank you, Rich. Okay.
Hello.
Oh, brilliant. Our timing is perfect. I get you on spotlight at the same point as you get yourself off mute. Brilliant.
Great. Hello, everyone. And yeah, thanks to Russell for the videos, which I followed attentively. And was it parrots or parakeets in the background? It was one or the other.
Yeah, parakeets. We've got wild parakeets here in London.
Yeah, and yeah, it was great to hear. Yeah, it was nice, comforting. I think they're spreading all across England now. I've seen them in Manchester, Derby.
Yeah, we've seen them close to me as well, just recently.
So I managed to find a bit of cherry wood a couple of weeks ago and started very much in the same pattern as the one that Russell posted, with a bit of spalting in. First time doing a spiral as well, so just carving away with a hook knife, and then a right and a left-handed. I'm lucky enough to have both directions of hook. So sometimes it was good to flip the whole thing around and start that way, push away and then pulling sometimes was easier, and obviously trying not to get too much tear out in the middle. Yeah, it's still a work in progress, to be honest. I've been working on it like a kind of doing your homework on the bus. I've been working on it during this meeting, so I'm still, yeah, yet to finish and complete.
I found that was actually one of the biggest challenges with the spiral, was knowing when it was finished. It just felt that you could go on forever, you know, trying to get it smoother and smoother and smoother. You have to just call it sometimes. But yeah, I was the same. It's like, how do I know? How do I know when this is done?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And obviously taking that decision not to pierce through, I was like, it's the first one I'm doing. I'm going to keep it relatively, you know, by the book, and then yeah, I'm excited to use this technique elsewhere.
Yeah. So would you use it on other things or other spoons?
Yeah, other things. I was carving a cookser kind of design, and I was looking at the handle, and I was like feeling it, and I was like, this, my thumb would be nice in a kind of angled groove.
Yeah.
I started drawing a spiral on it, and I was like, there's not enough space for this, but maybe next time.
Yeah.
You know, making it in mind. And then what I'm going to try and do, I'll get it quick. When I carved out I made like a blank. It was just like a half of a branch, cherry branch. And obviously I cut out the shoulder here, and that left a perfect mini spoon. So I marked it out, ready to make a mini spiral with that as well.
Yeah. And how big are your hooks?
So that would be, yeah, a diddy one. So that was out of the same bit of wood. So that'd be nice to make like a matching pair.
Yeah. Yeah. I would be worried about it. Just trying to get into those little bits. Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah, maybe some small gouges. I'll have to dig out something else from a workshop.
Yeah.
I mean,
Good.
you
Well, thank
can
you.
have a V. You don't have to have a circular bottom to it. Suzanne's done one where it just goes into a point and it looks really, really good. So you don't have to have it a V. So you could use the tip of your straight knife and just go into a groove that's just like a V shape, and that'll look really quite cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, well, thank you, Rich. Those were great, and it's nice to think of it on the end of a cuxa handle too. Yeah, I look forward to seeing that. Okay, who would like to wave next? Oh, Kaylin, I see you. You're still muted, I think.
I'm on mute now. Hi. This was a really lovely exercise. I think I myself also was pretty intimidated from starting the template, so I pushed it off a couple of weeks. And I drew on the handle first without watching Russell's video, and then had to fully carve off the drawing and redo it because my drawing was terrible. But I really enjoyed making the spiral on this. This is a little sycamore spoon. And one of the things that I really enjoyed was just working on kind of the transition from the bowl to the handle with each of the finial, or with each of the little lines, and just working to make it nice and graceful and kind of connecting to my other cuts. And I think it turned out quite beautiful. So thank you, Russell, for the details and the pattern. I enjoyed this quite a bit. It is still a bit textured, like I wasn't able to get it fully smooth. And then I did not keep a block at the end. I ended up having the two lines connect in a point, which I'm not sure if it weakens it, but I think for this spoon adds kind of a nice little elegance as well.
Perfectly fine. I only have a chunk if I've pierced all the way through.
Yeah, and that was my intention originally. But then it was feeling a bit flexible, and I'm giving this one away as a gift, and so I wanted to make sure to keep it. But it's quite fun, and my Instagram is a personal one. It's not like a spoon specific one, And this one by far has the most of my non-spoon friends very impressed with my carving skills.
That's a good way of gauging it, isn't it?
People are shocked and amazed at this spoon. So well done, Russell, for giving a template that really, really does amaze and wow people out there.
And well done, Kaylin. It's great, and I love the delicacy of it.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, is there anybody else that would like to go? Oh, Chris. Oh, I've got two Chris's. I'm sorry. I was going to go for Chris Bear Grinnell. Is that right? Oh, I haven't.
Grinnell. Little Grinnell, Iowa.
Okay, I'm just realizing that I've got to remove the spotlight from Kaylin first. Great, got you.
So just like many people have said, thanks a ton, Russell. I never would have done this otherwise. So I sort of did one out of cherry. I figured I would totally botch the first one, so I didn't make sure the handle was perfectly round and make sure the spirals were nice and even, but then it turned out okay. So the next one I'll definitely pay a little bit more attention to. But thanks a ton. It was a lot of fun to carve, and yeah.
Yeah. So I sympathize with that feeling of going to be botching the first one. I was similarly gung-ho with my first one and didn't really go for a cylinder, and I didn't really measure it out terribly well. And actually, yeah, you're right, it didn't turn out badly.
Number 2 will be a lot better for sure.
And there's definitely going to be a number 2.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, great. Well, thank you. Thank you. And it's good to share that sometimes even when you think it's going to all go wrong, it still goes right. Okay, so the next one must be the other Chris Stanton. Gotcha.
Am I muted? No.
No, you're back. Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, I was terribly intimidated, relatively new carver, only carving one shaped spoon basically, so last weekend I saw the video and said, I can try that. So I did. I tried to stick to the template as best I could, and
yeah,
I rounded the end. I found the taper here, which is very slight, intimidating. I had never carved a round handle, never.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a challenge. The challenges in general I've participated in 3 are great for me. They're pushing me and making me realize I can do much more than I thought I could. And the videos are tremendous, the tutorials. I wouldn't have tried it without the tutorial. I just would have said, I can't do that. So I'm real happy.
You're right to be really happy. I love the way it goes into that end, you know, the roundness at the end. It feels really intentional.
Yeah, I wanted a smaller end than Russell's example. That's just how it came out.
Yeah, yeah. What did you say it was?
This is cherry. It's very green cherry tree that came down in December. It's been out and frozen. It's not finished. I can't make the finished cuts. They're fuzzy because the wood is green. And this transition still needs a little work. It's a couple sharp edges, but again, the whole challenge with the tutorials is tremendous for me. I've been carving all by myself, doing one basic form of eating spoon mostly. So I'm really having fun.
Well, I think that's the consistent thing that I'm hearing from everybody is thank you, Russell, for doing the tutorials, because without it, many of us perhaps wouldn't have tried.
Very much. It really helps.
Yeah. Well, and thank you then for still trying it.
Chris, for your first spiral, that was very good. Very consistent, very good. I like it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, is anybody else left? Oh, Sean in Canada.
All right, hi folks. Here's my first spiral spoon. And Russell, it was awesome to see what you provided online. It was, again, I would not try this at all. And like Kaylin, I also generally try to, or judge my spoon by the reaction of folks. And this is one of the first spoons that I got a wow out of my teenagers. I guess I'm doing okay. I guess one thing I can ask you, I'm not really happy with the end, how that finishes off here. I thought maybe I can just kind of lop one of.
I love the end. I love the uniqueness of that. I hadn't seen that anywhere else, and I thought it looked a bit like a fish or something like that.
Maybe, but
or a snail, a wonky snail.
A wonky snail. Maybe that's Oren's rubbing off of me, perhaps.
Yeah.
But anyways, thanks so much for sharing the template, Russell. Appreciate it. This is maple, and we call this Manitoba maple. Now, being Canadian, I'm not sure if that's an international equivalent.
Box elder
running through here, but yeah.
Box elder. So it looks like you had a shape to the handle, so you didn't go for a straight handle. You went for a shaped one.
Yeah, this was the template I used without the spiral, and then I just put a spiral on it, so it wasn't round, and it certainly had a bit of a square look. But
yeah, I think that might make it even more difficult.
Manitoba maple is also known as box elder.
Oh, thank you.
Box elder. Okay, thank you. And let's see, is anybody left? Michael against this spoony background.
Great, yeah, thanks, Rachel. So again, Russell, thanks so much. I think you should get an award for, inspiring the most amount of people to really step outside their boundaries. The light's pretty bad here, but this is just a nice piece of maple. And the spoon background doesn't work too well with this, huh? But really hard to see. I think I just sort of gave it a shot, after watching the videos. I think if I want to do another one, I wouldn't do it quite so tight. I mean, this is really like, set up to be a corkscrew or something like that. And I ended up, I don't know why. I mean, it was really green maple, nice and soft. And I found the easiest thing for me to do was just to get in the valley with the tip of the Mora. And that seemed to be the best. I just think it's a little steep, for the hook knives. And I think if I made it not quite as tight a curl, the hook knife would work a lot better. But yeah, super fun. And yeah, like some of the other people have said, it's like, yeah, my wife looked at me like I was actually talented when she saw this one. Last time she thought I was so talented was when she saw the 2 eaters I got from Rachel sitting on the kitchen counter. She was like, wow, those are really good. I'm like, yeah, they're not mine. So anyways, but yeah, no, thanks so much, Russell. Super appreciate it.
Can I comment? It's great. Your spiral is the other direction. And I just wondered, are you left-handed?
No, I'm not. And I didn't even think about the direction. It does, as you hold on to it, your fingers sort of, fit in the grooves there. So it does have kind of a nice grip like that. But yeah, I just completely, there was no conscious thought process on my part, which direction it went. But yeah, I guess it is lefted, but.
Well, I had a revelation. I did the spiral the same direction as Russell, but I'm left-handed. So that pull down cut that you were using was impossible. A left-handed person has to have the spiral go the other way in order to use that cut.
Oh, so maybe that's why
figured out a way to cut it, but it was different.
Maybe that's why my hook knife didn't work as well. So yeah.
Okay, and what about eating from it? So a left-handed spiral, I think, from lots of bending my brain around it, goes with a left-handed spoon.
I'll have to think about it next time.
Okay, thank you there, Michael. And I'm glad that your wife thinks that you're talented, because I think
right, yeah, right.
Okay. And who is left? Jody. Thank you, Jody.
Okay, I was hesitant to do the spiral because I had done a spiral on a wand before, and I hadn't tried one the way that Russell had it mapped out on his video. So I think that has a totally different look because I had wrapped tape around the handle, the wand, and it came out different than doing two separate starting points. So I really appreciated that we had that instruction because I think it makes it look different. So my husband and I went out and found a small birch tree that was dead. It was still standing, so it was still green, but so we cut down some birch because I hadn't carved birch and I needed a break after carving so much hardwood. And so I was really lucky. I got this piece that ended up being really pretty vaulting, and
it's not too far gone.
No, I was worried about this piece because it had some wormholes, but it didn't go all the way through, so it's still structurally sound.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun carving and just watching. It was like every time I took something away, a new image was revealed. And I had never had a nice, well, number one, a piece of spalted wood, and number two, something that was soft. So it was really nice to carve the birch. And I wanted it to kind of look like the spoon had just been twisted. So I left the end square.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was happy with how it turned out. And like Kaylin said, it was something that I had been working on it over at a friend's house. And I mapped out the picture, but I hadn't been carving it yet. It was just drawn on the thing. So when I got there, I pulled out my spoon and we were just sitting like around outside having a picnic. And by the end of the picnic, I had finished it. So everybody was very impressed, even they are not spoon carvers, but it was like, you just did that when you were sitting here. So I thank you, Russell. I think that it's impressive. And now I know how to map it out myself. So thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's something, you're right. There's something about how it just grows in front of your eyes. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, it's really cool. And that spalting is amazing.
Yeah, it was really fun. And then I tried to I was excited to make something out of the other half of the log. And I axed it out and there's no spalting at all. So I just lucked out or didn't luck out on that piece.
Lucked out. The spoon gods were on your side.
Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Jody.
Really good.
Okay. Have we got everybody? Is anyone desperate to? Oh, Annika. Oh, and my son's just said there's more people on the next page. Sorry, I haven't even looked at the next page. I'm going to do you, Annika, first. Yep, okay. You're on.
So I'm pretty late in this challenge because I saw all the great spoons popping up on Instagram with all the spirals, and I was pretty intimidated that no, I'm not carving such a long time, so I'm not gonna try it. But then 2 days ago I watched your videos, Russell, and then I thought, okay, I could give it a try with something like really small, and I don't have to do like a lot of spirals. So yesterday I started to do a small spiral butter knife.
Oh, wow.
So that's my first try in doing a spiral.
Cool idea. I love it.
And yeah, it was just great to have this system of that you showed, like marking it out, and then yeah. So I'm confident now that I will try a spoon with the proper spiral. So yeah. And
so a left-handed butter knife or a right-handed butter knife?
It's a left-handed because I did just go like quarter 90 degrees, so it looks a bit off. But when you have in your left hand, it's pretty comfortable, and
Yeah.
in the right hand, it doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. And is
Yeah,
that
so-
from the birch?
It's from the small birch log from yesterday. Yes. Okay, so yeah, thank you for the videos, and yeah.
Mm. And that's our first non-spoon spiral, so that's great. So thank you very much. Okay, so I'm going to have a look at my next page just in case there's somebody frantically waving there. Yeah, Don's frantic. I'm really sorry if you've been waving forever.
No, I haven't, because I was really well prepared for this. So let me switch to front facing. And so yeah, I didn't come prepared, but then I thought, oh, I can whip something out, and so I kind of got started here, and I've got this little spiral going on, and you know, turned it into a nice spoon. So I just put this together today during the call.
Well done.
Sorry, it's a little silly. No, I've carved many spiral wands, so let me grab another one that's a little bit
So
nicer.
did you steal that from a unicorn?
Yes. So this is Osage Orange. You know, just hand carved. This is all just done with, you know, a Mora type knife. And we were kind of talking earlier about the difference between kind of having the valley, you know, be nice and smooth versus having a point. So this one's actually a triple spiral. If I can get it to focus, there we go. And it's got the sharp intersection. So there's a lot of ways to approach it actually. And you can do this all just with a straight knife without any kind of gouge or a hook knife or anything. So
it's triple spiral. You start each whatever you call them, lead, just a third of the way around the circle. Is that right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I just found that with the double helix, I would start on one side, you know, at the bottom of the, you know, and start the two ends of the hollow and get all the way to the end, and then go back to the beginning. And it's like, oh man, I've got so I would lose it with three of them.
Right. It's not as hard as you would think. I think single spirals. Oh wait, that's not a single. Somewhere I have a single floating around, are much harder and hard to like keep well defined. This one's not a very good one. If I can keep it on the camera here. Focus. I have to go someplace where there's less
interesting stuff behind. Yeah.
So it's just much harder, I find, to do a single spiral. I end up carving it away to nothing.
So, or a corkscrew. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I just thought I'd share the wands. So other items with spirals. And I'm sorry, I keep wandering off to the side. I have a new phone and the camera is off to the exact opposite side of my old phone. So
that's great. Thank you, Don. And
sure.
Yeah, it's nice to think that we can branch into things that aren't spoons.
Don, what kind of cordage did you use there? I'm curious.
It's just some cheap nylon, you know, whatever was used in the garden that I could find in the 5 minutes that I was inspired to do something stupid.
I thought that was hilarious.
Thank you. Okay, is anybody else still waving? No, on that screen. No, on that screen. Okay, is that everybody? It looks like it. So, does anyone see any waves? No? Okay, well, my son's saying it's your shot, it's your shot, it's your shot. So it must be my shot. Okay. So this was the first one that I did, which is cherry. This is one where I started not really thinking it was going to work out. So I was a bit narrow in this section. It definitely wasn't a circular cross section there. So I had to tweak it a bit. But what I was really keen on doing was trying to get that transition into the bowl quite organic. I don't like it stopping and then having to go in the bowl. I wanted it to look like mint, but I could not picture it. So I started by molding a bit of polymer clay to try and see where the transition would go. Oh, I've got a mirror on me thinking camera and I'm left, right. And so I started by doing that so I could visualize what the transition into the bowl would look like. So I did that one and Sandy said, oh, that's mine. So it was. And so I had to do another one. And this one I decided I wanted it a bit wider at the end of the handle and narrower towards the spoon bowl. And so I did just the same and got that transition looking even better, I thought, and quite a thin cross section at the bottom. So that was mine, and I'm keeping that one. So that's us done. So what happens next? Do I have to share my screen and look at Instagram? Is that what happens next? Okay, well, we'll try. Have we got time what time is it? We've been going an hour and 20. Okay, if this doesn't work, we'll just come back and say goodbye, but we'll try a screen share. What do you think we do next? Click the screen share. Oh, wow. And then go to there and share. Okay. And then how do I make this one bigger? Okay. So, oh, Sebastian wasn't here. Sebastian's doing the next template, as we said before. So that's Sebastian. What can I minimize? Oh, give me that. I don't mind about that. Which bit of my screen can you see?
Just the browser. That's fine.
Yeah, we can see the picture of Sebastian Spoon.
All good.
Okay, good, because I'm not sure what happens next. Right. So what's he saying about it? He didn't make a proper one. So he made this 6 years ago. Okay, we're going to move on from him. How do I get to the next one?
Just click the arrow, Rachel, on the right.
I've got an arrow on the right. Oh, right, it's been sorry, it's been hidden by you lot. Thank you. Okay. We already seen Sunny's. Yeah. Yeah, the bananas put me off. Yeah, I remember this. Yeah, great.
Those are very good looking bananas.
Yeah, they are very good looking bananas. And we've seen Jürgen's. That's an even better picture of Jürgen's. Yeah, without. I like looking at the
Rachel, when they're like this one here, when there's an arrow inside the photo, that
there's more
leads
of
to other photos in the album.
Thank you for being prepared to point out stuff to me. Yeah.
Brad is not officially an IT guy, but he gives a lot of technical support.
It's the support that I need. It doesn't need to be technical. That's cool. Right. I don't know what order they come in because I couldn't tell when I set up. Oh, so Sue's. We haven't seen Sue's, have we? I don't think so.
It's been on today, but that's what I was referring to earlier. When you can go into a point, if you're worried, if you've got a really small one and you can't get in to do a curve, that's a good way to do that.
Yeah, and that looks like.
I think she did that with the gouge.
Yeah, little gouge
like,
going in. Yeah,
that texture.
I think this is a great technique to do the taper that pinches towards the neck, because if you start with a perfect cylinder, sometimes a spiral can make the handle look unsubstantial, you know? So I think this really balances it out nicely. This was a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more obvious on that picture.
I'm actually here now. We haven't switched to daylight savings time yet, so I was an hour late. I'm so sorry.
Happens tonight.
Terrible excuse.
Would you like to talk
The
about
kind
your
of
spoon
excuse
Instagram?
Kevin would give.
Yeah, and I realized now, like 15 minutes ago, that I did mine wrong, that I just did one spiral with the tape method and not two spirals like Russ showed us.
I don't think there's a right and a wrong.
Just give it a go. Do a spiral. You know, two's fine, one's fine. If you can do it, better.
Yeah, and so was it a little gouge you used for that?
Yes, on the carving check, there's like a little hook knife, and because with the big hook knife, I couldn't reach into my spiral, so I used the small knife, and I planned on cleaning it up then afterwards, but it looked like some little beaver had gnawed on it, and so I just kept it.
Yeah, it's cool. Really cool. Okay, let's see what's next. And that's Peter in California with some really good grain there. Does he say what type it is? Nope. Oh, walnut and plum. Okay, guess the plum. Yeah. I think we can tell that they're definitely from your template, Russ, can't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and some better pictures of orange with a lovely spring background. Yeah. I like the leaves. Oh, and Craig was here earlier, but had to go. So that looks like it's got a sort of half double helix.
I think it's a double helix. Maybe it's just made it a bit tighter in the middle. I like that. Really
Yeah,
nice.
it gives it an even more sort of, oh, yes, it's reminding me of like carvings in churches and things where you sometimes get, I can't think what it is. Yeah, it's cool.
No, it does have an I agree. It has like a church banister look to it almost.
Yeah.
Really ergonomic as well, because that towards the bowl, that's where you can put your thumb, right? It's a nice big space for your thumb.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wonder how he laid it out. Might have to ask him.
Nice. There's another photo.
Oh, thank you.
That's not the finished picture. I wonder if he's posted the finished one.
Well, he only posted it 4 hours ago. He's been working hard. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That looks a bit threatening, doesn't it? Was it going to go in the fire? We've seen you before. And this was your other one, Jürgen, wasn't it? That really has changed color, hasn't it? The apple. Oh, that looks like a weird sort of number 9-y, long spirally thingy. Pointy bowl. And cool wood. I think that's cherry.
Yeah, it looks like it, doesn't it? It's like a number 18 and 18 divided by 2 as well.
That's right, double helix. Oh. Oh, and this is Neil. He had friends. They had friends over, so he couldn't come to this. And it looks like he's got some sort of carving down the edges. Or decorative work.
Maybe some more close-ups in there.
Chip, yeah, chip carved and a milk paint wash. Let's see whether it's clearer. Oh, it is. Oh, wow. Yeah. And a finial too. You threw everything at it.
I love how people are combining templates now. This is good.
Yeah. I've been wondering what that's reminding me of, and it's reminding me of, you know, the like the plastic mats you put on the floor which lock together. And it looks like those are sort of interlocking over the edge. Ah, weird. Okay, what's next? Unfinished 12 hours ago. Let's see. That's a good picture of how hard it is to get in the middle there. Do you think that's blood?
I would say almost certainly.
All right, does that look, he's drilled out. Yeah. And a square start to it too. Oh man. Nothing like making it easy for yourself. Okay, and Chris, we saw that. So well done to the template, isn't it? And see you. See, I love this, the shells in the background, artistically done.
Little line that she's got as well. It's really nice. Very cool.
Yeah. There's something about watching a spiral twisting. I tried to do a spinning shot of my spoon, but they are incredibly difficult to do. We need to someone needs to do a tutorial on how to make a spinning spoon video. Oh, Ian hasn't been here, but he's done several spirals. Let's see. Yeah. Almost looks as though you could use the other end for a knife or something.
Hello, peeps.
Hello. I'm just having a look through the Instagram. Oh, that's just in case you didn't see this. This was the challenge template.
Ah.
Right. And that, it is a spiral. Yeah. That's a challenging piece of wood, isn't it? I think that's called working with the wood. Yeah. That's how you do a spinning spoon video. Some sort of animal coming across. Oh, and we can see the spalting much better on that picture. And those pesky wormholes. Okay, Jodie's gonna do the spinning spoon video tutorial.
You know what was funny? I had a hole through the top of that, and I actually put the string right through that one wormhole.
That was clever, because that's often the problem, isn't it? Is to get it to go. I can just see the string there.
You have to get it right in the center.
Yeah, yeah. So you just need a really, really helpful worm.
So when I haven't done any for a while, but I used to do them fairly often. I use thread and then like just a little daub of wax.
Okay.
And then you kind of move it around until you get the exact center and get it balanced so that it spins nicely. And if needed, you can also cheat and add some wax at the bottom, like weights, to kind of get it to balance and spin the way you want it to.
Because I find that when you've got a crank on a spoon, it's never gonna spin exactly how you want it to, because the crank pushes you off
Right.
center.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Do, do, do.
Wow.
That could have a lot of uses, couldn't it? Like corkscrew one end, fork at the other. Yeah. Move on though, because it's not a spoon. Oh, we've got one with painting on it from Ian. And decoration down the edge of the spiral. That's neat too. That's another spring one. We've got John's, which we saw. Yeah. They're really good against, you know, that they're almost identical, aren't they? Just mirror it. Yeah, the same spiral. And that's a single helix. I'm getting better at identifying. Oh no, it's not. Oh, is that the same one?
Yeah, it's a double. You just can't see the one below, I think. From
Yeah, I can't. You're right. It's hidden. Yeah. Wow. And a knot to contend with as well. Not just one, more than one knot. Wow. Hey, it was hard enough with Cherry. I wouldn't like to go around multiple knots. And this is the same one in video. Oh. Count the knot competition. Oh, and a pith too. Wow.
pretty much breaking all the rules there.
Yeah, but obviously it works. Oh, and Andreas with a really tight little crevice to get down. Wow. I just wouldn't attempt that. Andy, haven't seen that either. Really clean edge to that. And that transition into the bowl is interesting, isn't it? With it coming flat and straight in. Mm. And Neil again. Peppermint, mango, and mulberry. Yeah. Oh, and that's mine, which you've seen. That's because I couldn't. It's because I couldn't do a spinning, so I just did it in my hand. It's the other way to do it. That was brave to do a video of that. Could be a bit mesmerizing to watch. I think it looks even harder with all the drawings next to it, Sean. And I hadn't noticed the tail with a point on.
Yeah, I'm just working up towards that now.
Yeah. crazy. Brain scrambling. And there you go, Russell. I'm really interested in the way the cross section of these spirals changes the look of it so much. You know, whether they've got a flat inner or it's curved inner makes a difference.
Yeah, it's actually easier to carve than someone who's done like a circular cross section.
Yeah,
because
I
you
think I can
put
see
the
that.
flat your knife in there, so it's
Mhm.
actually I'm more impressed with people who've done like the circular cross section of a pierced one. What you're seeing there is easier, right?
But it's just the way it changes the look, and you get different light contrasts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Really cool. Oh. We're going to see a spiral. Oh, lots of people. It's a 5. It's a 5. Thrives up +2. One I've seen. And that was a close up of that terribly tiny, tight spiral. Anyone speak French? Oh, it's okay. It's translated. Yeah. I thought you said don't use a Sharpie, Russ.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be careful. Soak in. So the one that I did for the tutorials, that was the second one. The first one I did, and for some reason, I think the wood was perhaps a bit more porous. When I was actually carving it away, that you could still see the lines. It ended up being so thin, I had to do another one.
Oh, work in progress. So that was when it was still straight, Sean. That's my fast spin. Work in progress before Ian finished. Yeah, quite a few people have put a spiral onto a previously failed spoon, which it must be harder. Yay, shall we watch you?
We've all seen those.
And then we're done. Okay, so my child's gone, so I don't know how to get rid of my screen sharing. Oh, just a second, stop share. Okay, well, thank you all very much for bearing with that. And thank you again, Russell, because that was, well, you've certainly inspired heaps of people to do things that they otherwise would never have done. And that surely is the aim. So thank you very much.
Thanks everyone for giving it a go. I was a bit concerned that maybe I'd have scared a lot of people off, but I'm delighted.
The absolute opposite. Yeah, yeah, really worthwhile. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording and then you're free to carve.
Thank you.
Okay, hello, bye for now.
Great, thank you very much. Nice beard, by the way.